This is Kaya Nyami Shivers, and I am reporting for ARC Republic News. Wherever you are situated in this universe, I hope that you are in good health and good spirits. Today, we are talking about a very serious issue and one that hits home to the ARC Republic family. Um, our newsroom editor, who is with us today, good afternoon, Miss Yolanda Aguilera.
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
So Yolanda, a couple of weeks ago, experienced something that no home wants to hit or experience, in that her niece, her 14-year-old niece, Jashyah Moore, went missing. And so we're going to talk about that today. She's still missing, and we're going to talk about it and see exactly, one, how we could help, and two, understand this process as we talk about things like white woman missing syndrome and what it is when you have a Black baby that goes missing in a system. So first, I want to thank you, Yolanda, for agreeing to speak with us at such a difficult time.
Thank you very much for having me and to help broadcast my story. I really appreciate it.
Oh, this platform will always be available for you and to your family. And I just want to send my regards to your family, because I know this is just very, very difficult as well. Um, just please tell us about Jashyah first. Who is she?
Jashyah is a 14-year-old in June, if you want, or if you will. Super smart, super loving. She's a gamer. She still loves Barbies. She fancies herself a collector here and there. Shia is a child, a little girl, and it's like my mom says, it's like a extraterrestrial just came, took her. But
And where is Jashyah? Where does she live?
In East Orange, New Jersey.
Okay. So I know this is hard for you, but can you please kind of walk us through how your family learned about her disappearing?
Sure. So I personally received a phone call from my sister on Friday, October 15th, about 1 a.m. And she tells me, Shy's missing. When she recounts the story, she tells me that on the morning of Thursday, October 14th, Jashyah went to the store like normal. And she ended up losing a card, to pay for items and things like that. And by the time she had told her, like, hey, just retrace your steps, something that she's done before, she hadn't come back. So that's how my family.
So Jashyah went to the store, came back home, and told her mother, which is your sister, right, that she dropped the card, and your sister said, well, no problem, just go back and retrace your steps.
Yes. So that's how my whole family found out, because my sister contacted me, and then I went on and contacted everybody else.
So where is this in East Orange are we talking about Jashyah going?
So Jashyah was last seen on Central Avenue, which is a main road, and then Amherst Street.
Okay.
So it's the corner of Central and Amherst.
And where did she go? What was the store's name?
Now, I think it's called US Market. It's a bodega, like here in this area. They're very popular. And so we always just call it the bodega, but I believe it's called US Market on Central Avenue. That was the initial store she went to buy the items. And when she realized, I guess, that she lost the card, went home, like I said, told my sister sent her back out. And then my niece went back to that store and then like along Central Avenue to see if she had dropped it by any chance.
Okay. And so what did the store owner or did anybody see her or recount what happened?
Yes, actually, when we were going out with flyers and just asking about cameras and things like that, the owner said that she was there. It was around 7:30 when she initially was there, and they have her on the camera.
7:30 a.m. or p.m.?
A.m. I apologize.
Okay.
A.m. in the morning. So when they have her there, at the time, and then they have her leaving. And like there's a street camera on Central Avenue, like I guess a city camera, and they see her on Central Avenue. So this all occurred between the block of about 7:30 to about, I believe, like 10 o'clock, because that was the last reported time that someone saw her. But in speaking to the community and stuff, like many of them like were like, oh, she was going down Central Avenue. And of course I asked, like, is it this way? Was it that way? They told me they saw her on Central Avenue going that way at 10 a.m. That's the last time anyone has seen her.
So the last time they saw her is when she returned back to the store, or the first time that she went to the store?
When she returned back to the store.
Okay, so they saw her, and then she went missing. So she goes missing. About what time does your sister, her mother, realize that something is wrong?
She said after the first hour, she thought it was weird, because my niece would come back within the time, but she didn't want to freak out, think the worst. So I believe she leaves the house. She just starts looking for her. She doesn't see her. She goes to the store. She starts asking. They're like, yeah, we just saw her. She was just here. So I would say the difference was about an hour.
And what did your sister do when she felt like this is definitely wrong? I need to take more action.
She was already on the street, and actually she flagged down a patrol car.
And this is the East Orange police officer? Okay.
Yes, it was a East Orange police officer patrol car. And she was like, listen, we watch movies. No one, she's not a law enforcement officer or anything like that. So we've always been under the guise of, like, if we're suspecting that there's somebody who's missing or something like that, you say something at 24 hours. But my sister obviously didn't feel comfortable doing that. She flagged them down beforehand. And the first thing, they even mentioned was, are you sure she just isn't with her friends or running away or something like that?
And so what did the cop do? Did the cop take a report? What happened?
So yes, so according to my sister, he took a report. Unfortunately, a report we can't even obtain at this moment because they're saying that it's ongoing. And then they told her that they were going to check the cameras and stuff. But to my knowledge, it wasn't until me and my sister that next day on that Friday, the 15th, we were walking and asking the private businesses about cameras and stuff that we saw detectives go in to the bodega. That was the first time I'd ever seen any police interaction or anything like that in reference to this case.
Okay, so you still don't have a report number, nothing in the database?
I believe they gave her a number, but when we spoke to detectives, and I asked a lot of questions, I want to be an attorney and I know how things can be. So when I was asking, like, hey, can my sister go get this police report? When can she go pick it up? They were like, we see she asks a lot of questions, but there's nothing to pick up. So when we spoke to another body of law enforcement, they told us, you need to go down there, and they should have been giving it to you. At this point, we had spoken to that body of law enforcement it was like 3 days after the fact. So it was like that Sunday, which is crazy because that was the third call we made to that specific agency. But he was like, they should have given you something. It's 4 days and they haven't given you anything. Ms. Moore, go down there right now and get a teletype for missing persons or the police report or something.
Okay, so let me kind of walk this timeline back. So Jashyah goes missing on that same about an hour after she goes missing. Your sister looks for her. She doesn't on the street. She doesn't see her. She flags a cop down, a patrol car down, tells the patrol car what's going on. The patrol car takes a report or writes down something, right?
Yes.
But you do not hear from the police at all, from the local police. When is the first time that the local police contacts you? To ask about information, or contacts your sister, excuse me.
We'd actually, I would say they spoke to my sister that Thursday, but as far as what I saw, like as far as calling or just interacting with her and asking about things, it wasn't until we physically walked into that bodega on Friday the 15th when they were supposed to go and check the cameras that I even heard any type of questioning or verification, confirmation, anything like that. So to my knowledge, it would have been that Friday.
Okay, so it was 24 hours or over 24 hours after the initial report was made by your sister by the patrol car. that they contact your sister and talk to her, but it's in passing, you were saying. So are you saying that it just so happened that you were going to the bodega and they were there and you started talking? So it wasn't
Yeah,
anything initiated by East Orange Police Department?
I believe that. So what happened was we were talking to local residents and they started to go into the bodega. So they knew that they wanted to go, I guess, check the cameras. And so from that moment, my sister was like, let's just go ask. Let's go ask if they found anything because no one's spoken to me about anything. So we
Mhm.
go into the bodega and that's when they're like, who are you? And she's like, well, I'm Mrs. Moore, or I'm Miss Moore. And they're like, oh, okay, well, then start asking her verifying questions.
Okay. So why did you have to contact another agency? And what is the agency, if I might ask? And you don't
I
have to
felt
answer
like
what the agency is, but
I felt as though not enough urgency was had, not enough was being done. I think, especially when we were talking to those detectives in that bodega, they were like, oh no, the minute a missing persons happens, you report it initially. This is not like the movies where you wait 24 hours, 72 hours, or anything like that. But the thing was, in that, I felt like there was a lack of urgency because when we were in that bodega and talking to those officers, they, like, one at a time, started buying snacks, walked out of the bodega. The owner had to chase them and say, hey, look, you originally came here to see these cameras. And it reminded them, like, oh, yeah, that's right. To me, if you're here for a job and you're taking it seriously, you wouldn't forget your purpose for being here.
mhm.
And so I started to see like that was the initial hit. And I'm trying to be objective. I'm not trying to blame anybody or say that people aren't doing their jobs. But personally speaking, from what I've seen at that point, I was like, oh no, there might not be enough urgency with what's going on here. And also, as people from the community are calling us, which we're the numbers on the flyers, they're like, look, I have the number for this person, call them so we can start getting the ball moving because they're not doing enough for us either. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm. So other people who have missing persons began calling you too.
Yeah, we had advocates, just people from the community, people who know my sister, my niece.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
So when you call this other agency and the local police department finally comes or finally is active, which you're saying is about 72 hours or 3 days after kind of um, the initial report was made or a contact was made by your sister to police, what was the interaction of with the police officers or the detectives that are now calling you or coming to your sister's home, I'm assuming?
So what I would say is just to verify a little bit there. So the after we started making the calls to these higher ups, these other people, that was on Saturday. So that was about 48 hours later.
Mhm.
And that's when we started, calling around. And so up until that point, very um, curt, very kind of cold, very haphazard, a little lackadaisical, in my opinion. That's the energy we got. My sister many times has cried because she felt like people were being very mean to her or accusatory or again haphazard with the way they were handling her missing minor daughter.
And as you told me, your sister is dealing with a health issue too.
A very, very serious one. I don't know if she feels comfortable, talking about it, but something, it's something really, really dire.
Right. And I'm so sorry to hear that. I know this is difficult, but I think it's just so important, that we know and understand uh, what it is like, and for those who are hearing this, one can help you out if there's any information, but also better ways that we can advocate and push your family and future families forward. So in the age of Gabby Petito, right, a young white woman, a young adult white woman who went missing about a month or so ago, and the coverage that surrounded her, what are your thoughts going on as you are engaging in this process, in particular with the authorities? And then we're going to talk about more the community.
Well, what I would say is with Gabby Petito, firstly, I would say it's really terrible what happened to her, and my condolences go to her family because it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And so what I would say is it's extremely interesting though, and I must say that we had a nationwide search for this woman. She was 22 years old, so she was a grown woman. Um, and there was like this, and it tends to be historically this like treating of like white women because of white supremacy, treating them with like these kid gloves, so to speak. And so everyone was on it, all visibility, national visibility, international visibility. We have threads from all types of social media, all types of groups talking about this woman, while we have thousands of Black children missing in this country. And they go missing, no, like they from one day to another, people just drop all types of attention. So I think it's really hypocritical the way that I would say not just it's I would want to separate law enforcement from the community here, but unfortunately we can't because the community, I think in Gabby Petito's case, kind of put a fire behind law enforcement. And I'm sure that I'm so sorry. I'm sure that the way that they approached this case was so much more different than the way that they approached my niece's case, and unfortunately children like her, Black dark-skinned children.
Right. And I think also, when we talk about this, I mean, East Orange is a predominantly Black or predominantly Black and brown city. So I'm assuming that the law enforcement that you're engaging with are probably Black folk and Latino predominantly who you're talking to, which makes this, even maybe even more egregious in terms of not handling with any type of, as you said, urgency about a Black girl who's missing in a time of a pandemic where it is known in law enforcement where you have high rates of people disappearing. So I totally hear you on that. So a couple of things. What has the community done? You said the community rallied around you or is rallying around you. What are the efforts that have been made with the community, and where, let me start with this. Where is the case right now?
It's at a standstill at the moment. It's on the side of law enforcement. They recently took another device from my sister, but as far as updates or anything like that, we haven't received any. As far as the community go, God bless the community because it's been prayers. It's been like with the flyers, they've been reprinting flyers. They've been sharing it on social media. They've been telling people, trying to get leads. Like, it's been really awesome as far as people rallying and supporting us.
So what are some things that you could tell us about Jashyah that we can look for, or perhaps that we can help anybody that's listening right now?
Yes, she is about 5'5", 5'6". She actually has two shaved sides, and it's all shaved back here. She has braids, like auburn braids at the top in the middle. She's dark skinned.
About what color? Is she like a Viola Davis? Is she a Taraji P. Henson color?
She's like a Gabrielle Union.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
a Gabrielle Union.
Okay.
Yeah, between that and a Viola Davis, but more so like
more Gabby.
Yeah.
Does she wear glasses?
No.
She doesn't wear glasses. What about teeth? Are there any kind of moles or teeth or piercings?
She may have a couple, like I think she just had a little bit of acne, and she's starting to go through acne. So she has a couple little like hyperpigmentation marks on her nose. She may, and again, this is for if you see her up close, she may have a slight like scar or gash right here.
On her right, that's her right cheek, right?
Yes, yes. Trying to think, her hair would be the biggest draw.
Okay.
She always wears her hair the same way.
Okay. What about the way she walks, or You know, does she have, like, is she slow-footed? Is she knock-kneed? Is there anything like that?
No, no.
What about how she talks? Does she talk rapidly? Does she stutter? Is there anything unique about that?
She stutters when she's nervous. Um, she's a pretty fluid speaker. She's really intelligent, you know, so maybe using big words or something like that. But other than that, she's very quiet. She's actually really quiet. So she wouldn't say much. She
Hmm.
wouldn't say much, but if she's sad, it'll be on her face. If she feels any negative way, it'll be on her face. She'll look scared. She'll look sad. She's very expressive. Uh, Other than that, she's very quiet. And I'm trying to think, is there anything else? So I don't think so. She has longer fingernails, I guess,
Hmm.
like her finger
Hmm.
beds.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, that's all I can think of.
Hmm. Okay. Does she have a nickname?
Shia. She
Shia.
goes by Shia. Her name
Okay.
is Jashyah, but that's her nickname, Shia. Yeah.
Okay. So if there's anybody right now that is listening to this and you have seen someone that resembles Josiah, we're going to put her picture on there. We're going to have actually her picture, throughout this, so they can know. Please call. What are the numbers that people can call?
The main number is 862-755-7036. She's not supposed to be with anyone. She's not supposed to be alone. If you see her in any capacity, please call, text, anything that number.
I'm so sorry. How is your family? How is your family?
This is a nightmare. Everyone's depressed. This is unlike her. She doesn't go places by herself, especially coming off like a pandemic and things like that. She was transferring schools, so she didn't even like socialize with any kids at that moment in East Orange. Um, but this is, we try to be positive. We try to put positivity, into the universe. So we ask for faith and mercy and grace from God. You know, we keep praying, and I would say we're trying to be as positive and proactive as possible. We're not blaming anyone. I must say this. We're not blaming anyone. We're trying to be objective because we have to find her. I'm not saying that these police people aren't doing their jobs. I'm saying they could have done it with more urgency earlier. Maybe we could find her, or could have found her, because time is of the essence.
Mhm.
And all I say is that my family is extremely grateful for every prayer that we've received and every bit of help we've gotten, or people just spreading the flyer, just, sharing it on social media. We truly appreciate that. But this is truly a nightmare.
And then I don't like asking these questions because I know you're very upset. I just want to just lastly ask, one of the things that I suggested, and um, the law enforcement folk that I know suggested, is that you go to the media. Even though you do work on Arc Republic, we are an independent, small boutique media, so we don't have the bandwidth and the reach that a mainstream media outlet has. What happened when you went to the media?
So when we initially went to the media, it was I want to say specifically, it was local. It was a very localized media corporation. And they told us, well, technically the police are the ones who are supposed to be contacting us in regards to this. Do you have a police report number? And when we told them, we have a number, but they're saying the report wouldn't be ready, that's when they proceeded with, oh, well, you can keep contacting us when you have updates. But honestly, we only post things when law enforcement contacts us.
Would you know
And they
that
hadn't
now that's
contacted us.
not true? That's a complete fabrication.
And it's cruel.
Mhm. That's an absolute complete fabrication. Now they can say that that's their policy, that might be their policy, but that you don't need that, right? And so what happened after that? After they said that, then what happened?
We were actually actively reaching out to different organizations, and we were actually able to get in contact with, I don't know if I can say, but
Yeah, you can say yeah.
okay. with Pix 11, Channel 11 here in the New Jersey, New York area, with Miss Mary Murphy. So she decided to pick things up, and she knows that there's like a big issue with missing children, especially times of like a post Gabby Petito.
Right, right. Okay. How long did it take for a news agency to respond to your request?
I would say this is the first one. You
Mhm.
know, well, I will say I reached out to another organization called RLS Media, which is very local.
Right.
But again, they don't have the bandwidth. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't have the resources. So I would say that Pix 11 was the first who was like, sure, yep, we're gonna do this. We're gonna
Mhm.
do this,
Mhm.
and it the
Okay.
report should be coming out soon.
Well, I'm glad that this is so important, even though, I'm an independent news organization, but this is important to know that you need to have all types of folk in all different places in order to move forward and do the work that we need to be done. So I'm happy for Ms. Murray and what she is doing. I know you are still canvassing. You are still there's a lot that goes into it, and all of the toll that it has taken. So not to take up any more of your time or much more of your time, what are some last thoughts? Is there anything that you would like to say that I did not cover before we end?
Um, Again, I just want to say we're trying to be objective. We're not blaming anybody for anything. We're not saying people aren't doing their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to say is we're going to check every lead. You know, we're not going to write off anything about, oh, this is a conspiracy. Oh, this just can't be. We're going to turn over every rock to make sure that we're not unjustly leaning in on one thing or another. It is so easy to say, like, to over sexualize Black teenagers or children and say, oh, they must have run away. They must be doing this, that, and the third with boyfriends and girlfriends. I'm not negating any of that. But what I'm saying is why is that the default? And when you get into that part of the default, then why is it that you don't move with urgency past that? I'm not saying anybody specifically did anything to her, but damn, like, can you show us some empathy and humanity, please?
Mm-hmm. And you know what, Yolanda, I know that you're in the position and you want to. So let me tell you, in a time of family crisis as such, it is horrendous. It is horrendous the fact that you have to put out kind of like a politically correct statement to say we're trying to remain objective when you are in an emotional crisis, to make it not seem as if you're making an organization that is paid by people's tax dollars to actually do the job that they were hired, for. So I would say that and that is what I would say a lot of vulnerable, underrepresented communities of color, um, um, poor communities, regardless of the color, go through in instances, but in particular, Black communities, um, you know, um, Latin communities, Native communities go through when it comes to missing children and missing girls. That you got to have this kind of, how do I want to say it? This respectful protocol, or it might seem as if there will be some kind of punitive action. But I just want you to know, um, yeah, and I'm glad you raised that point about how our babies and our children immediately there's this question of them, perhaps being promiscuous or as the reason why. Like, so I'm glad you did mention that. So I thank you. I was supposed to give you the last word. Let me give you the last word, and then we're going to close this up. Once again, what you are seeing on this screen is the information and also a photo of Jashyah Moore. Jashyah Moore has been missing since October 14th in East Orange, New Jersey. So this is the North New Jersey area. So East Orange, Newark, Irvington, you can Hillside, Roselle, these are the areas, we're talking about that are around here. If you have seen this young lady, please call the number on the screen.
Thank you. Thank you. And it all helps. It doesn't matter if you're in Irvington or North, we've been canvassing everywhere. And it's been very helpful because then people will say like, oh, that's the girl from East Orange. That's what I'm saying. The community's been really on it. So again, don't hesitate. Please don't hesitate.
Okay. So finding Jashyah is what we're doing. Thank you so much, Yolanda. And once again, I just send all of my prayers and my thoughts to your family in this time. And we are part of the collective to really push this agenda. So families, less families have to go through this. Thank you so much for speaking with me, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for helping us and helping me. Thank you. I appreciate the platform.
Thank you.
Let's embark on the Arc Republic to hear current news that's published. More than gossip and chatter, covering current affairs that matter. We talk issues with professional views, all keeping you in queue. We wanted a higher vibe for these days and times, to free the voices and minds, reporting the sign of the times, so all can build. Let's shine, yeah.